First Contact and Awakening. Introduction to Captain Maya Torres and the exploration vessel Horizon. Discovery of an ancient alien artifact at the edge of the Orion system. First encountered with the hostile Vrax Collective. Activation of the dormant Supernova Fleet. Neural bonding between human crew and the advanced ships. First battle against the Vrax and unexpected victory. Discovery of the greater purpose behind the fleet. Part 2. The Galactic Trial. Learning about the precursors and their legacy. Assembling more pilots from Earth for the remaining ships. Discovery of the ancient galactic trial system. Major confrontation with the Vrax Armada. Unlocking the true power of the Supernova Fleet. The revelation about humanity's unique abilities. Victory and the beginning of humanity's new role in the galaxy. Now, I'll write the complete story for you. Here's Part 1. Part 1. First Contact and Awakening. The void between stars had never felt so vast to Captain Maya Torres as she stood on the observation deck of the UES Horizon. The exploration vessel drifted at the outer boundary of the Orion system, its mission to map the strange gravitational anomalies that had been detected in this largely unexplored sector of space. "Captain, you should see this." Commander Daniel Chen's voice broke through her thoughts. The excitement in his typically measured tone made her turn immediately. "What have you found?" she asked, already moving toward the science bay. "Something not in any of our charts," he replied, "and definitely not natural." The corridors of the Horizon hummed with activity as Torres made her way through. Unlike military vessels, the Horizon was primarily staffed with scientists and explorers, the best minds Earth had to offer. In 2247, humanity's reach had extended beyond the solar system, but they were still newcomers to interstellar travel. When Torres entered the science bay, Chen was hunched over a holographic display, his dark eyes reflecting the blue light of the projection. "It just appeared on our scans," he said, not looking up. One moment nothing, the next. He gestured at the display. Floating in space approximately 3 light hours from their position was a massive structure. It resembled a perfect dodecahedron, each face inscribed with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. "Artificial?" Torres asked, already knowing the answer. "Undoubtedly," Chen replied. "And the energy readings are off the charts. But there's something else." He tapped a command, and the display zoomed in on one of the faces. "It's transmitting." Torres felt her heart rate quicken. In all of humanity's explorations, they had found evidence of extinct civilizations, ruins on distant worlds, remnants of technologies beyond human understanding, but never anything active. Never anything that might indicate they weren't alone in the current epoch of the galaxy. "Transmitting what?" she asked. "That's just it," Chen said, looking up at her with a mixture of wonder and apprehension. "It's transmitting in a form of mathematics we recognize. Someone or something wanted us to understand this. Protocol dictated that they should report the finding to Earth Command immediately and await instructions. But that would mean weeks of delay, and Torres knew that other factions might rush to claim the discovery if word got out. "Prepare a team," she decided. "We're going to take a closer look." 6 hours later, Torres led a small expedition aboard the Horizon's auxiliary craft, the Falcon. The sleek shuttle glided through space toward the alien structure, which loomed larger with each passing minute. "Energy readings are stable," reported Dr. Amara Osai, the team's xenophysicist. "No signs of defensive systems, but I'm detecting movement within the structure." "Movement?" Torres asked sharply. Osei nodded, her expression intense as she studied her instruments. "Like clockwork components shifting. I think it's preparing for something." As they drew closer, the patterns on the structure's surface began to pulse with a soft violet light. The effect was mesmerizing, like watching waves on an ocean of stars. "We're being scanned," announced the pilot, Lieutenant Kai Nakamura, his hand steady on the controls despite the tension in his voice. Before Torres could respond, a beam of light shot out from the structure, engulfing the Falcon. Everyone froze, expecting the worst, but the ship's systems continued to function normally. "It's a data transmission," Osai said, surprised. "Massive amounts of information are being downloaded into our systems." "Captain," Nakamura called out, his voice tense. "We've got company." The sensors showed a dozen ships approaching rapidly. Unlike the elegant vessels of the Supernova Fleet, these were angular and aggressive in design, bristling with what could only be weapons. "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer. A harsh, clicking voice filled the cabin. "Attention, human vessel. You have activated precursor technology that does not belong to your primitive species. The Vrax Collective claims all precursor artifacts by right of conquest. Surrender the activation key and withdraw, or face immediate destruction." Torres exchanged glances with her team. They had no weapons aboard the Falcon, and the Horizon was an exploration vessel, not a warship. But something told her that the appearance of the Supernova Fleet wasn't coincidental. "What does the data say about these ships?" she asked Osai quietly. The scientist was still parsing through the downloaded information. "They're designed to bond with their pilots. Neural interfaces that allow direct control. The ship becomes an extension of the pilot's will." "How do we activate them?" Osai looked up, her eyes wide. "We already have. The scan wasn't just sending data, it was reading our neural patterns. The fleet is waiting for us to take command." Torres made her decision. "Nakamura, take us to the nearest ship. Osai, figure out how we interface with these vessels. And someone get me a direct line to the Horizon. They need to know what's happening." As the Falcon approached one of the avian ships, it seemed to ripple in response. A port opened, inviting them in. "The Vrax are powering weapons," Nakamura warned. "Then we better hurry," Torres replied, her jaw set with determination. Inside the alien vessel, they found a chamber unlike anything they had expected. There were no traditional controls, just a single chair in the center of a spherical room whose walls displayed a perfect view of the surrounding space. "This must be the neural interface," Osai said, scanning the chair with her instruments. "According to the data, once someone sits there, they become one with the ship." Torres didn't hesitate. "I'll do it." "Captain," Osai protested, "we don't know what effect this will have on a human mind." "We don't have time to debate," Torres replied, already moving toward the chair. "If the Vrax open fire, we're all dead anyway." The moment she sat down, the chamber hummed to life. The chair reclined, and tendrils of violet energy wrapped around Torres's limbs, not restraining, but connecting. She gasped as her consciousness expanded. Suddenly, she could feel the ship as if it were her own body, its systems, its capabilities, its power. And more than that, she could sense the other ships in the fleet, waiting for pilots of their own. Through the ship's sensors, she saw the Vrax vessels closing in, their weapons charged and ready to fire. They were going to destroy the Horizon and everyone aboard it unless she acted. With a thought, Torres brought the ship's engines online. The vessel responded instantly, moving with a grace that defied its size. She reached out to the Horizon mentally, establishing a communication link. "This is Captain Torres," she transmitted. "The structure has given us control of these ships. We need pilots. Send everyone who can fly a simulator." The Vrax fired the first shot, a beam of searing energy aimed directly at the Horizon. Without thinking, Torres interposed her vessel, activating defenses she hadn't known existed. A shield of violet energy absorbed the attack, leaving the ship unharmed. "Impressive for a primitive," the Vrax commander transmitted. "But you cannot hope to master precursor technology in time to save yourselves." Torres didn't respond with words. Instead, she unleashed the ship's weapons, not to destroy, but to warn. Pulses of energy streaked past the Vrax vessels, missing them by meters, but demonstrating precision that no human weapon could match. "This is your only warning," she finally replied. "The Supernova Fleet has chosen humanity as its inheritors. Leave this system, or we will be forced to demonstrate why." The Vracs hesitated, clearly surprised by the humans' control over the ancient technology. But their retreat was only tactical. Torres could sense their determination. They would return, and in greater numbers. As shuttles from the horizon began approaching the other ships in the fleet, Torres received another data packet from the structure, which was now beginning to close. It contained a star chart marking the locations of more supernova fleets throughout the galaxy, along with a message. The trial begins. Prove yourselves worthy. Torres understood then that this wasn't just a gift, it was a test. Humanity had been given power beyond their imagination, but also a responsibility. And the Vracs were only the first challenge they would face. As the first of her crew bonded with their ships, Torres felt a surge of determination. Humanity had always reached for the stars, driven by curiosity and courage. Now they had the means to travel farther than ever before, to protect themselves against threats they never knew existed. The Supernova Fleet was awake, and with it, humanity's destiny among the stars. The Galactic Trial. 3 weeks had passed since the discovery of the Supernova Fleet, and everything had changed. The UES Horizon, once a solitary exploration vessel, now traveled at the center of a formation of 47 precursor ships, each bonded to a human pilot. The news had reached Earth, sparking a mixture of celebration and fear. Humanity had stumbled upon a power they never imagined existed, but they had also drawn the attention of the Vracs Collective, a powerful alliance spanning dozens of star systems. Captain Maya Torres sat in her quarters aboard the flagship of the fleet, which she had named Phoenix. The neural link between her and the ship had grown stronger with each passing day, allowing her to perceive its systems as extensions of her own body. Sometimes, when she slept, she dreamed of soaring through endless stars, free from the constraints of flesh. A chime at her door brought her back to reality. "Enter," she called. Commander Chen stepped inside, his expression a mixture of excitement and concern. "Captain, we've decoded more of the precursor data. You need to see this." They made their way to the ship's core chamber, where Dr. Osai was working with a team of scientists to understand the vast repository of knowledge downloaded from the dodecahedron structure. "We've been focusing on the wrong thing," Osai said without preamble as they entered. "We thought this supernova fleet was just a collection of advanced warships, but it's so much more than that." She gestured to a holographic display showing the internal systems of one of the ships. These vessels aren't just designed for combat. They're terraforming engines, construction platforms, and data archives all in one. The precursors built them as tools of creation, not destruction. Torres frowned. "Then why give them weapons at all?" "Protection," Osai replied. "The precursors believed that the power to create must be defended. But here's where it gets interesting." She brought up a new display showing a genetic sequence. "We found this embedded in the data. It's a genetic marker, human DNA." "What are you saying?" Torres asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. "The precursors knew about us," Osei said, her voice filled with wonder. "Or at least, they predicted our evolution. The dodecahedron was programmed to activate when a species with this specific genetic marker reached a certain level of technological advancement. So the fleet was always meant for us?" Chen asked, incredulous. "Not just us," Osai corrected. "The precursors left these caches throughout the galaxy, each keyed to different species. It's like a galactic inheritance, divided among potential heirs." Torres considered this information. "And the Vracs? Where do they fit in?" Osei's expression darkened. "According to what we've translated, the Vracs were once candidates themselves. They found their own precursor cache thousands of years ago, but instead of using the technology as intended, they weaponized it. They've been hunting down other caches ever since, destroying or subjugating any species that might access them." A chill ran down Torres's spine. "They're eliminating the competition." "Exactly," Osei nodded. "And now they're coming for us." As if summoned by her words, an alert sounded throughout the ship. Torres closed her eyes, connecting more deeply with Phoenix to access its sensors. What she saw made her blood run cold. "Vrak's battle fleet," she announced, opening her eyes. "At least 80 vessels approaching from multiple vectors. They'll reach us in less than an hour." Chen was already moving toward the door. "I'll prepare the fleet. We should make a run for Earth. Bring these ships home where they can be protected." "No," Torrid said firmly. "Earth doesn't have the defenses to repel a Vrak's invasion. We'd be leading them straight to our homeworld." "Then what's the alternative?" Osi asked. "We have 47 ships against 80, and most of our pilots are still learning how to operate them." Taurus was silent for a moment, communing with Phoenix. The ship's vast database contained information about the Vraks, their tactics, their weaknesses, and something else, something the precursors had hidden deep within the fleet's systems. "There's another way," she said finally. "The star chart we received didn't just show the locations of other fleets. It marked worlds the precursors designated as trial sites, places where inheritor species could prove their worthiness. And there's one nearby," Chen realized, studying the chart. Torres nodded. "A gas giant in the Procyon system. According to the database, it contains a precursor facility that can augment the fleet's capabilities, but only if we pass some kind of test." "We're gambling the survival of humanity on a test?" Osi asked, skeptical. "We're outmatched," Torres replied simply. "We need every advantage we can get." The decision made, Torres ordered the fleet to the Procyon system. The Supernova ships moved with incredible speed, covering light years and hours through a form of travel the database called void slipping. Not quite FTL, but something else entirely. The Vraks pursued, but their technology, though advanced by human standards, couldn't match the pure speed of the precursor vessels. By the time they reached Procyon, Taurus and her fleet had already arrived at the gas giant, a massive world of swirling gold and amber clouds. The facility should be in the upper atmosphere, Torres instructed as the fleet descended. "Spread out and scan for energy signatures." It was Lieutenant Nakamura who found it, a floating structure of the same shifting metal as the dodecahedron, half hidden in the clouds. As they approached, it broadcast a message directly into the minds of the pilots. "Inheritors, you seek the blessing of the precursors. To receive it, you must demonstrate your worthiness. The trial of harmony begins now." Suddenly, the clouds around them erupted with energy. Massive constructs rose from the depths of the gas giant, automated defense systems designed to test both the pilot's skill and their restraint. "They're not trying to destroy us," Torres realized as she analyzed their attack patterns. "They're hurting us, forcing us to work together." The trial of harmony wasn't about combat prowess. It was about coordination and unity. The 47 ships of the fleet had to move as one, protecting each other while navigating the increasingly complex patterns of the defense systems. For humans who had only known of each other's existence for a few weeks, it seemed an impossible task. But through the neural link, Torres could feel the minds of her pilots, their determination, their fears, their strengths. Drawing on instincts she didn't know she possessed, she began to guide them, not through commands, but through a kind of shared consciousness facilitated by the precursor technology. As one, the fleet began to move through the storm of energy and obstacles, weaving patterns of their own that countered those of the defense systems. It was like a dance, a conversation in movement and energy between the human pilots and the ancient machines testing them. And then, suddenly, it was over. The defenses powered down, and the structure at the heart of the storm pulsed with bright light. "The trial is complete," came the message. "The blessing is yours." Energy flowed from the structure to each ship in the fleet, and Torres felt Phoenix changing around her. New systems came online, technologies that had been dormant awaiting activation. Most significant was a form of neural amplification that strengthened the connection not just between pilot and ship, but between all pilots in the fleet. Torres could now sense the thoughts and intentions of her crew with perfect clarity. They had become a true collective consciousness, each maintaining their individuality but linked in a network of shared purpose. Just in time, the Vrax fleet had arrived. "They're launching attack craft," Chen reported, though Torres could already sense it through their enhanced connection. "All ships, defensive formation," she ordered, the command flowing through the neural network like water. The fleet responded instantly, moving with perfect coordination to create overlapping fields of protection. The Vrax attack was relentless. What they lacked in precursor technology, they made up for in numbers and experience. Energy weapons lashed out against the Supernova Fleet's shields, while boarding craft attempted to breach the hulls of the human vessels. But something unexpected was happening. As the battle progressed, Torres began to sense a pattern in the Vrax tactics, a predictability that shouldn't have been possible unless. "They're not thinking individually," she realized. "Their minds are linked too, but it's different, rigid, hierarchical." The Vrax neural network was a pyramid, with commanders at the top forcing their will upon those below. Effective for ensuring obedience, but lacking the fluidity and adaptability of the human network, where each pilot contributed equally. Torres saw their advantage. Focus on their command ships, she directed through the neural link. Not to destroy, to disrupt. Target their communication arrays. The fleet moved as one, bypassing the Vrax front lines to strike at the heart of their formation. Precise beams of energy severed the connections between the Vrax command ships and their subordinates, causing confusion to ripple through the enemy ranks. With their neural network disrupted, the Vrax lost their coordination. Ship crashed into ship as conflicting commands were issued by disconnected commanders. "Now we give them a choice," Torres said, opening a communication channel to the remaining Vrax vessels. "This is Captain Maya Torres of the human Supernova Fleet. Your command structure is broken. You can continue fighting and be destroyed, or you can retreat and live to see another day." There was a long silence, broken only by the sounds of the battle still raging around them. Then, one by one, the Vrax ships began to withdraw, jumping to FTL as soon as they cleared the gravity well of Procyon. As the last enemy vessel disappeared from their sensors, a cheer went up across the neural network. 47 minds united in triumph. But Torres knew this was just the beginning. The dodecahedron's message had been clear. The trial begins. Not the trial, singular, but trials, plural. This encounter with the Vrax was only the first test in what would likely be many challenges ahead. "What now, Captain?" Chen asked as the fleet regrouped, assessing their damage. Torres looked out at the stars, feeling the presence of her crew through the neural link. Their trust, their courage, their hope. And beyond them, she sensed something else. The faint signatures of other supernova fleets waiting to be awakened, other human minds waiting to join their consciousness. "Now," she said, "we bring the rest of humanity into the stars. The precursors chose us for a reason. It's time we find out why." The supernova fleet turned toward Earth, violet energy trailing behind them like comets' tails. Humanity's age of isolation was over. Their trial among the stars had just begun.